Yep. Camp was good. Camp was tough. It was tried to make it as taxing as possible on the guys because you really can't do that anymore. There's a lot of new rules and a lot of things that you can't do anymore. So tried to make it as mentally taxing and physically taxing as we could, given the restraints that we have. So thought we had a really good fall camp. We had a longer fall camp this year. They backed up the start of school for us a week, so that allowed us to have close to 20 days of fall camp as opposed to 12 or 13 that we normally have. So that was good. Got some extra work there. A lot of extra reps, a lot of extra evaluations on some new guys that are coming in. So very pleased with how fall camp ended, and then obviously kind of move into game week now. This is we're on a Wednesday, even though this is Monday. I'm on a Wednesday schedule for the boys. So these Thursday games, you always have to kind of move your schedule around a little bit to make sure all your preparations are good. But we're just ready to go. It's finally game week, got a little bit more urgency. You would like to think that you practice like game week all the time, but human nature, you just don't. There's a little extra something in the tank. There's a little extra something on the field. Just kind of a different vibe on the field when you get to game week. So just really excited, really eager to watch this bunch hit the field and execute at a high level Thursday.
I noticed the initial depth chart anyway. Not many seniors on there. Is that good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good for our growth. We do have we've got a couple of seniors that were purposefully holding out, things like that. Some guys who could go. James Sappington is one of those. Probably could go right now, but he's had a problem with that groin for so long. We finally had surgery on it this summer, so we just really want to make sure that we give that thing time to heal up the way it needs to. He actually practices with us, during practice and all that kind of stuff, but we're just going to hold him back. And there's a couple guys like that. But I think it's good. I think it's good for the growth of the program. You're going to see some young guys, some juniors, some sophomores, some redshirt freshmen. You'll see some guys. I believe you're going to see some guys step up this year who were not in starting roles. Jacob Bell being one of those. Remember that name. He was a guy that we were able to redshirt last year, and he's now stepped into that wide receiver role. Will probably be a starter in that wide receiver role come Thursday. But a couple of guys like that who have really been exciting, and I'm eager to see them get out there and get their chance, get their opportunity.
At the start of camp, obviously, I'm sure you guys have a depth chart that's kind of built in your own way, and then you erase that and change it as the weeks go on. Is there anybody in particular on the depth chart that maybe surprised you with their leap over the last 20 to 25 days?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, we have so many evaluations on these guys. You know what I mean? You go into spring ball. That's what you use spring ball for. You want to evaluate. You want to see what they do well, see what they don't do well. You go into summer and you try to fix the things that they didn't do well. You go into fall camp, you're doing the same things. You always have some young guys, some new guys, some high school guys or a transfer, something like that comes in. That doesn't necessarily surprise you, but you're excited to see them play like that. And like I said, there are a couple of guys, high school guys and some things like that you will see play pretty significant amount of snaps, as this season progresses. Would I say they surprised me? No. There's a couple of guys who have developed like we thought, like we believed they would. There are a couple of guys like that have finally gotten to that point. Maybe they're just a little more comfortable in what we're having them do. Maybe they've just grown a little bit with JC and the strength program, whatever the case may be. But no true surprises.
Is Devontae Wilson one of those guys? You mentioned redshirt freshmen that are going to see a lot of snaps.
Yeah, you'll see a bunch of snaps. There's a couple of guys. I mean, Devontae Wilson, like I said, Jacob Bell will be in that role now. Darnell Victor will probably be in that role now. Trying to think of guys who redshirted last year. Marcus Floyd will probably be in that role now. You can see a lot of him. Cortez Roberts, Pig Turner. You'll see a lot of those guys. D-line, you're going to see every D-lineman we got. We got 18 of them on scholarship on the roster, and you're going to see every single one of them play at some point this season. That's the reason why we built it that way, so that we can stay as fresh as we can up there. But you'll see all of those guys, some of which have played a lot of snaps, some of which not so much, and now is their opportunity. And then wide receiver, most of those guys have been here and been back. We did add a couple to the mix, a couple young guys. Transferring Ty Terrell, Daquan Green from Florida. So those would be some new faces that you see. There's a couple of guys like that.
Speaking of wide receiver, Malik, that's not on that depth chart. Just give us an update on that.
Yeah, Malik, we tried to keep as quiet as we could for as long as we could. Social media gets you every time. But Malik messed his knee up. He will not be back for the year. Could have a possibility of being back towards the end of the year. We'll evaluate that when we get there, whether that's week 8, week 9, week 10, whatever that looks like. So, like I said, man, huge silver lining for that kid, to be put in a different role, because now his role is he has to be the leader that he was on the field. He has to be that off the field for that room, because they really need his personality and who he is and his work ethic. And they need to see him do that even when he's not playing. So that's going to be a very unique experience for him and a great opportunity for him. It gives us an opportunity to bring him back next year and get a 6th year for him right there. And then it also gives an opportunity for guys like Jacob Bell to really step into a role. Jonathan Moss to really step into a role. A local kid, Ethan Thompson, from down at Henry County High School. Man, he's been incredible this fall camp. So it's going to give us the ability to see some other guys step into some roles, and some of those guys have already taken that opportunity and ran with it.
Have you made any changes to your offensive or defensive schemes?
No, not really. We've evolved. We haven't changed. We try to evolve each year. We try to always look at what we did well, didn't do well from years past, and kind of evolve. And a lot of that has to do with personnel. You get different guys in. You have to move this guy here and move this guy there, or maybe you lose a guy like Quincy Williams. So you're either replacing that same spot, or maybe you have to do something different with that spot. So you kind of evolve your defensive schemes a little bit. Offensively, you lose a guy like Drew Anderson at quarterback, so maybe you evolve your schemes a little bit. If that means running the quarterback a little bit more, if that means sprinting him out, whatever the case may be. But like any year, you try to look and see what you did good, what you didn't do bad, and try to limit the things that you did bad and get better at them.
Preston's taken over, obviously, this year at quarterback.
Yep.
How have you seen him kind of take those reins during camps where you know that he is the unquestioned guy?
Yeah, I think that's what he's done so far. That's the reason why he's going to lead the team out there on Thursday. Obviously anybody who's been around me enough knows he's going to lead the team out there Thursday. Doesn't mean he's going to stay there Thursday all night. He's got to play well. My deal with Preston, and he and I have a long relationship. I've known the kid for probably 7 or 8 years. I recruited his older brother out of high school, known his dad for a long time, he's a high school coach. And so I've really seen this kid since he was, knee-high to a grasshopper. I've known this kid for a long time, and I kind of seen the way that his high school career went, and now he's in his 3rd year here in the program. He's always taken every chance that he had to learn and get better. He's always working. He's always a guy who's going to be out there at night. When you drive to dinner on Friday night with your wife, you're going to see somebody out there on the field throwing. Is Preston Rice. That's the type of kid he is. He'll wear those wide receivers' legs out trying to throw. And he's done it the right way. He never once come into my office wanting to transfer, wanting to leave, wanting to do any of that stuff. He just always wanted to know how he was going to get better so that he could be prepared when his opportunity came. And now his opportunity's here. He's prepared well. The first scrimmage we put him in, he struggled in the first scrimmage, and he just looked really, really uncomfortable. And he came to me and said, "Coach, man, I can't play like this." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, this red jersey's got to go. You got to let me play football. Like, I can't be back here and not feel the urgency of somebody wanting to hit me. He said, "We got to go live." And so that's what we did. The following 3 scrimmages in fall camp, or 2 scrimmages, and then 1 was just a live period at practice. We made him live each time, and that was what I like about that whole room. All the quarterbacks in particular, all of them were a lot more comfortable playing live, knowing that they were going to get hit. You got to see that sense of urgency, and they did a lot better within that sense of urgency than they do with those red shirts. So it was very, very encouraging for me.
Coach, some concerns with running back, at least I saw in spring and the fall. I don't seem to have those concerns. It looks as if you really have a good stable running backs there. Just address that.
Yeah, we are really deep there. We've got 6 of those guys on the roster for a 1-back offense, or maybe a 2-back offense. I don't know. We may have evolved our offense, like I was just talking about. But we are pretty deep there. We've got JC back from injury. Justin Connor is back from injury. You know, he's the JUCO kid from East Mississippi that came in and hurt his knee, but he's back. He's had a tremendous fall camp. Looks really, really good. Really, really healthy. You got Jared McCray and Rodney Castile. CT, Corey Thomas, man, he's one of those guys, you know, you talk about, I wasn't surprised, but he has developed a bunch. CT has developed a bunch. I mean, you're talking about a guy who came from a very specific scheme in high school, did not have to catch the ball very much, was a very downhill back in high school, and now all of a sudden he's learning how to run the zone and sticking his toe in the ground and lateral movements. He's been phenomenal. Then you've got MJ Fuller. He's a high school kid that we brought in from South Georgia. He's been really, really good, looked really, really good in fall camp. Like I said, you got Lucas Reynolds from down in Henry County. So we've got quite a few weapons at that position. And again, especially with this 4-game rule, we're going to try to use every one of them and let as many guys that can touch the rock touch the rock.
You had a couple of difference makers on defense last year, Quincy and Kenny.
Yeah.
Do you see anybody emerging, maybe not that talented, but that can be a difference?
Yeah, obviously it's hard to replace that, you know. I think the biggest key is making sure that whoever it is understands they're not filling any shoes. They got to wear their own, and they've got to make their own mark, you know. And I do think that Kendrick Caddis at backer, he's a heavy hitter, much like Quincy. He's a guy that does not get knocked back very much. Another guy, Alec Long, the transfer from Memphis, he's got the speed that Quincy has. He's a sideline to sideline. He's a very aggressive, very loud. You know, he's one of those, you can tell it's game week with him now because, I mean, he's out there and he's trying to get every bit out of every rep. So I think between those two, you've got a good mix of what Quincy was. And then up front, you've got Tay Carruthers that's going to kind of play that same position that Kenny Wooten was at. Built very much like Kenny, kind of a fast guy off the edge. He's got enough power where he can go speed to power. So we've got some guys there. You know, I think we did a phenomenal job in recruiting, at looking at those holes and looking at those voids and trying to bring some people with similar skill sets, similar abilities in there to fill those.
The other question I had was on Honeycutt. I realized receiver-wise, you have a lot of guys that fill in. But as a return man, who gets those reps and how confident are you in the
Whoever goes out there first, we'll be super confident in. Whoever goes out there second, we're going to be super confident. If we don't have the trust in them, we don't believe in them, then, you know, man, we haven't done a very good job evaluating or we haven't done a very good job coaching them up. So whoever we put out there, we're going to trust in making those decisions. We've got, you know, we are very deep at skill positions across the board, defensively and offensively. And again, you know, hats off to my staff and the way that they recruited and the guys they brought in and the depth that they have. So we've got quite a few guys that can go back there. Some new faces, old Maserati, we call him Maserati, DeAndre McMillan. He's a guy who's shown a bird. Y'all saw him at the scrimmage when he hit the sideline. He's got some extra juice about him. So he's going to be a guy that we throw back there for some big play potential. You got Rodney Castile, who's just old steady Eddie, very elusive. You know, been a very good player for us, and he's going to make really, really smart decisions, just a really smart football player. And we've got some other guys that we'll throw back there to take over those roles.
When you get to this point before the season starts, when you start to get ready to finish camp and you get ready to game week, as a coach, do you ever start asking yourself, have we done enough to get this team ready to this point? Is this team ready to play a game that counts, not a scrimmage?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing I do. I mean, that is what I do. The other guys, you know, I mean, offensively and defensively, they have their offensive checklist and defensive checklist, and I think that's just the thing is you know, I try to set up fall camp in a way that we're going to hit everything, and I have a checklist that I've made over the years of things that have come up that we're always going to hit, you know, and we've got a schedule that we stick to so that we can continue to kind of check those. I mean, everything. You're talking about pregame. You know, pregame warm-ups. At some point, you got to teach the boys what you're going to do pregame. So we take those 20 days of fall camp, and then you got, you know, 3 or 4 days there in between where they're just getting into school, and then you go into game week. We're going to take all of that before we get to game week. I mean, we're going to try to teach them as much as we can and make sure that we're checking off all the boxes, and there's not a situation that could come up that our boys aren't prepared to be in. And I think that's the job of a coach, is to make sure that those guys are prepared when they hit the field. I mean, we feel like we've done that.
What can you tell us about Pikeville?
So their head coach has been there. Their head coach is a lot like me. He's been there for 10 years. He was an assistant there. And then I think he's been the head coach now for 5 years, maybe going into his 6th, maybe going into his 5th. I can't remember that. He's an EKU guy. You know, he played at EKU, so he's going to have a lot of knowledge about this place and just this program. And he's also going to have a burr in his fanny to come down here and beat us, you know, and he's going to have his kids ready to play. You know, Pikeville is they've got some incredible running backs. Offensively, they've got good skill guys. They had 2 running backs last year that were really, really good. They were really big at receiver last year, like really big. They've got had a number 16 or 14, something like that. He's a big kid. Made some plays for him. They've got some good schemes, do a lot of RPOs, run pass options out of 11 personnel. So offensively, they've got some things that we need to be aware of. Defensively, they run to the ball very well. They're a little undersized up front at their D-line, but they're pretty quick. They play hard. They run to the football, and they swarm the football very well. They are a little bigger on the back end than I expected them to be. You know, all of them are 5'11" to 6 foot. They've got some good-looking kids on the back end. You know, they've got a good football team. And obviously, like you guys mentioned, the biggest thing I'm looking for Thursday is execution. I want to execute at a high level. I want to go out and execute at a high level. If we can do that, then we'll be fine.